Then you have BEC, Business Environment and Concepts. Business Environment and Concepts is a relatively new, came out in like 2004, with the BEC exam. That deals with, again, they want you to understand the overall environment, the business environment that we exist in. So that's why they included that. It includes things like business structures, partnerships, corporations, LLCs, LLPs. And those are areas that in tax, you learn the tax side. Here it's about the structure, how to form them, some of the differences and similarities. We've got things like economics, macroeconomics, understanding, again, the business environment. We talk about decision making or the flow of a cost system. So, for example, we're talking here in financial accounting with inventory, but what are we talking about with inventory? We're talking about purchasing an item. So I buy this and I have this purchases. Versus in BEC, we're talking about the flow of a cost system, cost accounting, managerial accounting. We talk about, for example, your manufacturing costs, right? If I'm going to build this item, the costs of building it are direct materials, direct labor, and good old factory overhead. Direct materials, direct labor, factory overhead. Materials and direct labor together are called a prime cost, the main cost of the product. Labor and overhead are called conversion costs, the cost of converting a raw material to a finished good. So on the CPA exam, they're going to ask you about some of the costs. They're going to ask you about the flow of the cost system. They're going to ask you variance analysis. We love that, cost accounting. What can go wrong with materials? You pay too much or you use too many pounds. What can go wrong with labor? You pay too much, called a direct labor rate variance, or you're less efficient, called direct labor efficiency variance. So you have direct materials price variance, direct materials usage, direct labor rate, direct labor efficiency, and then your overhead. Those are the ones that are a little scary. And the way I like to remember it is there's 4 different numbers. 4 differences gives you 3 numbers. And 4 differences plus 3 is 7. Spending, efficiency, volume, SEV. Oh, that's good. Spending, efficiency, volume, variance. So those are some of that's called variance analysis. But realize that that's all part of BEC exam. There's also IT. IT is in auditing, but more heavily tested in BEC, which is about 25% of the exam. You have financial management, capital budgeting, IRR, ROI, payback period, net present value. You've got cost accounting again, and you have things like planning, control, and analysis. So those are all the different areas that show up on the exam. But you can see how it all kind of relates to one set of financial statements. Because I know in school you take a class, and how most of us get through school is we go in, you take the class, the night before the midterm, you memorize, take the exam, blow it out your brain. But the CPA exam, this is like the comprehensive final you never saw in school. Because as I said, there's things on here you may have never seen in school, because a lot of times there are electives that you don't necessarily take all of those classes. But what's nice is it kind of puts it all together. Because as I said, when I worked at Deloitte, you're out there in the audit department. You're coming out there, you're ticking, tying, footing, and cross-footing, getting the numbers. You're giving an opinion. But then in financial accounting, you're looking at things like footnote disclosures in the back. Then you have the tax, the provision for taxes. You do deferred taxes. Then you have an M1 reconciliation from book to tax, which is on the tax exam. So there's a lot of overlap between what you've seen in school and what you're going to see in auditing and what you're going to actually see at the CPA exam. The key is study hard, don't get discouraged. Woo, little Michael Jackson walk. Come on down. I've been teaching almost 20 years after I left Deloitte & Touche. I've done this for many, many years, helped thousands and thousands of people accomplish their goal, which is to get through the exam.